What is going on, my friends? Today we're taking a look at the Poison Flurry Rogue build, which in my opinion is S tier. This is a super fast, in-your-face type of playstyle that includes nearly endless knockdowns, stuns, dazes, with constant high poison, which is capable of pumping out excellent AoE or single target damage. Now this Poison Flurry build is easy to play, it's excellent for leveling, PvP, and nightmare dungeons. If this is something that interests you, I'm about to show you how to build the near perfect melee rogue build for Diablo 4. We're going to go over skill tree points, gear, aspects, gems, Paragon points, glyphs. We're going to do it all. But before we get into it, please make sure you give the video a like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel with the YouTube algorithms, and it would be greatly appreciated. Now let's jump into the skill tree. Starting with the basic skills, we have puncture and fundamental puncture, so we add vulnerability to our enemies. Moving over to the core skills, make sure you fill out all of these sub-nodes. 3 for stutter step, 3 for sturdy, 3 for siphoning strikes. Go down to flurry, put 5 into flurry. I have 7. There's an added 2 on one of the pieces of equipment that I have that I'll show you in a bit. And then go over to improved flurry. So when you hit a vulnerable enemy, it makes all enemies around you. And since you're using flurry, it's a 360-degree ability with an aspect that we have. So you're gonna make every single enemy around you vulnerable. Agility skills, put 3 into weapon mastery so you can get the max damage on your daggers and swords. And then go over to shadow step, put 1 point into shadow step. I have 3, that's from a piece of equipment that I have. And methodical shadow step. Subterfuge skills, let's put 3 into exploit, going over to poison trap, and then subverting poison trap. Now along with that, you want to put 1 into smoke grenade and go all the way over to countering smoke grenade. Imbuement skills, we have 3 points into precision imbuement, 2 into deadly venom, 3 into debilitating toxins. You can mix these up. You could go 3-2 here if you want, if you don't need the 15% less damage from poisoned enemies, but I find that really helpful for survivability. I have not died yet with this build. So every single enemy you are damaging, they're always poisoned. And speaking of poison, put 5 in the poison imbuement. I have 8, that's coming from a piece of gear. We'll go over that in a bit. And also mixed poison imbuement. Ultimate skills, no major ultimate skills, but we do have some in the sub nodes. We have 3 in the trap mastery, 2 into adrenaline rush, and 3 into haste. And for our key passive, we're going with close quarters combat. There's a good reason for this. Now, you're always using your marksman skill because that's your puncture skill, and your cutthroat is flurry. So you're constantly going back and forth between those two, so you will always have a 20% increase because you're hitting both of your abilities and the enemies are crowd controlled. So this is basically a flat 20% increase in your damage. For a headpiece, the aspect, we have damage reduction of 20%. Now it could be anywhere between 2 and 6 seconds. So this is absolutely mandatory on any rogue build. It's a flat 20% damage reduction. Also, now on your helm, what you want to do is you want to look for something that has plus ranks on your poison imbuement. And you'll see on this one right here, it has +3 ranks, and that's making your poison that much stronger. So make sure you go out there and try to find a piece that has plus ranks on your poison imbuement. If you don't have that and you can't find it, you can always go to the enchanter and see if that actually comes up. On our chest aspect, we're adding extra armor. It gives us more survivability. This one is actually just straight from the codex. It's really not that great, so you can go all the way up to 50%. If one drops for you, make sure you get that. Put that on your chest piece. Moving over to the hands. Now the Grasp of Shadow. This is a unique item. You don't necessarily have to have this, but it just synergizes exactly with the Poison Flurry build. So it gives you increased attack speed, more vulnerable damage. The Shadow Clone does more damage, and you get 2 ranks of all of your core skills. So that's really beneficial. And then on top of that, when you're damaging a vulnerable enemy with a marksman or a cutthroat, because you're going back and forth with your skills, you're gonna summon a shadow clone who's doing exactly what you're doing, so is amplifying your damage tremendously. I find this one really important for this build, or pretty much any rogue build, because rogues are squishy. So anytime you damage an elite enemy, you're gonna get a barrier, and that barrier keeps you alive a lot longer than having no barrier. So I highly recommend it. It's gonna make your gameplay a lot smoother, and you're gonna enjoy just playing the rogue that much more. I find this one pretty much mandatory for any rogue build out there. And then on top of that, for legs, what you want to look for is damage reduction from close enemies, specifically with this build, because you're going to be up in their face every single time. So make sure you're trying to look for something that has damage reduction on the legs. Moving over to the boots, Shadow Step is your get out of free jail card, and this aspect gives you an additional Shadow Step. And on top of that, if you happen to kill an enemy with it, it refunds that charge, so you can keep going on and on and on with Shadow Step. Pretty cool. Moving over to the bow, now the Poison Flurry build shines with attack speed. Make sure you put attack speed on your bow. It's doubling whatever you find on your aspect. So on mine, it happens to be 46% attack speed. That is freaking awesome. Look for something like that, put it on your bow. Moving over to the amulet. Now, any aspect you put into the amulet, it adds 50% viability to that aspect. So what we have here is any critical strike with your poison imbued skills is going to drop a toxic pool of venom. Now, when you're standing in that toxic pool, you have unlimited poison imbuement skills. You can keep spamming it, adding that poison every single time you do it. It's incredible for bosses. It drops them really quick. Highly recommend you put it in that spot. Moving over to the first ring. Now, you are always killing vulnerable enemies, always, because you're always making them vulnerable with the setup we have. So with this aspect, you're getting that much more energy back, so you can constantly spam your skills. Really helpful. Now on the other ring, we have Flurry. This is mandatory for the build. This makes all of your Flurry around you. It's a 360-degree ability now, so this is absolutely mandatory. You don't need to put this over in your crossbow or your amulet. It's just not necessary, because what happens is the added bonus of the attack speed and the poison toxic pool here combo outdoes putting Flurry in the amulet or on the crossbow in terms of raw damage, especially on a boss. It's not even close. Taking a look at the melee weapons, I have a Shira's Kanjar here. It's a really good weapon for this build. That added attack speed, again, anywhere you can get attack speed on this build, put it in here. It makes you that much more deadly. And on the other one, we have skills deal up to a percentage of that increased damage based on your available primary resources when cast. Why is that good? Because when you go back to the ring that's giving you that increased energy, you're almost always gonna be full. Therefore, you're increasing your damage by 20%. For gems, you want to put topaz in your armor, emerald in your weapons, and skulls in your amulet and rings. For specialization, I go with combo points. There's no need to use preparation here. We don't have an ultimate skill. If you feel that you don't have enough energy with the setup that we have here, I don't see why you wouldn't, since you have a lot of that energy regen. But if for some reason you don't, go with inner sight, and then you hit those enemies that are marked, and then you'll have unlimited energy for 4 seconds. Taking a look at the Paragon board. Now, this is the starting Paragon board right here. I am still min-maxing theory crafting with all this stuff, and this is what I currently have set up. So if you want to, you can pause the video, make sure you fill in all the nodes just to get it exactly right. But the theory on this particular board right here is getting that glyph socket closer in as soon as possible. So you can go right down from the start, go all the way up, get to it, fill it in, put closer in there, and you're gonna see that it increases your skill damage dramatically, along with, while you're wielding a melee weapon, and you take 10% reduced damage. The second Paragon board is Deadly Ambush, and just make sure, if you wanna pause the video and fill this in, go ahead. Just make sure that you get up to, from when starting on that second board, that you're working to Deadly Ambush first, and then from there, you're walking all the way up to the glyph socket. Now, I have Bane here, and again, these two synergize perfectly together. Now, you deal 23% increased critical strike damage to enemies affected by your trap skills. They're always affected by your trap skills. You're always standing in your traps. And on top of that, you have an increase in your poison damage. So this synergizes perfectly for the Poison Flurry build. And I'm working my way up to that third Paragon board, but there's not much there. So I'll go back here, you can pause the video, fill in these nodes, and that's exactly how I have it filled in right now. Again, still theory crafting, but this is what we have. That is going to wrap up the Poison Flurry Rogue build for Diablo 4. If you guys enjoyed the video or learned something new, please consider supporting the channel by liking, commenting, or subscribing so you don't miss any future Diablo 4 videos. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.